Hey guys, this is Vernier for cardrunners.com, bringing you part 2 of the Building Good Poker Study Habits video. And we're going to be going through 10 steps to more mindful poker. And step number 2 is to examine 5 or more big losing hands where you lost 75 or more big blinds. We're going to continue using Hold'em Manager. And like we did in the last video, we're going to start a spreadsheet and document our hands. So let's go to Hold'em Manager, and under more filters, we're going to go to other advanced filters and click on, let's go down to the, we can just go down to the other category. And the other, I want player lost big blinds is greater than 75. So let me get rid of my other filter, and I'm going to select where I lost big blinds is greater than 75, and I'm going to add that. All right, so it looks like I won quite a few, or I should say I lost quite a few hands, and I'm going to sort them by time. So here's the time that I lost them. And let's start with the first one. I'm going to be looking for any kind of pattern. So here I am. I am raising queens from the middle position. And I face a 3-bet from a 18-9 player who started out, looks like he started out with about 90 big blinds. So he's 3-betting me from the cutoff, and I don't have a lot of hands on him. I only have 11 hands on him. I think calling here is the best play and going from there. So I end up 3-betting, or I should say end up 4-betting, and he ends up putting in this like ridiculous 5-bet, which is super annoying. I think I should have just flatted there, given how little I know about him. So now I end up going all in, and of course he has aces. So my analysis here, let me go to my practice 2 big pots lost spreadsheet. So the date of this hand is 1/4/2013. My hand is pocket queens, villain hand is aces. Villain type is, I should say, tight unknown. Overplayed queen-queen. Notes: raised queen-queen from middle position, faced 3-bet from 90 big blind stack with in cutoff, should have called and seen a flop. As played, faced very small 5-bet, threw up and just clicked button. So in general, I think I overplayed that hand. I think I should have played, I think I should have just called pre-flop. All right, so that's the first hand. Let's look at the next one. Looks like there's quite a few queens hands. So 24-21 player. Looks like first players, they're both quite deep. So I like squeezing here. And the original guy ends up folding, and I get one call. Not a very good flop, but not a very bad flop. The problem is I'm not going to get much action on it. He ends up checking. I end up checking back. I don't know why I check here. I think I should bet this flop at least once, because he's going to continue with lots of hands like any kind of pocket pair. I think he's going to continue with, if he has like 7s through jacks, he's going to call here. But if the turn comes a king, he's just not going to like it. So the turn is an ace, so that's actually a great card for me. Now I should bet, and he ends up check raising, which is super scary. But I mean, only 2 hands beat me, and legitimately only one card beats me, although he can have a lot of combinations of that one card. So I end up calling, and on the river, he ends up betting $60. So he ends up putting me all in. It's a call, and he ends up having ace-jack. So let me see how I would analyze this. So it'd be 1, 5, 20, 13, my hand, queen, queen, villain's hand, ace-jack, offsuit, villain type, 26, 15. So loose. So I'll just say 26, 15, I think is what it said. Over 50 hands. Over 50 hands. Yeah, I'll say cooler with queen, queen on, ace, 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 XX, flop in 3-bet pot. So villain repped one of the few hands that beat me. Should have bet flop on ace, ace, X, diamond, diamond. Rest of hand is straight forward. I think straightforward is one word. Okay, so I think that's a very straightforward way of playing the hand. I think betting the flop would have been good. So let's look at the next hand. I've got pocket jacks. The button raises. I end up 3-betting, and the button ends up 4-betting quite big here. So with jacks, I don't like calling here with jacks. I think it's a fairly straightforward shove with big blind versus button here. So I end up shoving, he ends up calling, he ends up having queens. So let me make a note here. So the day for this is 1/28/2013. Jack, jack, villain hand is queen, queen. Villain type would be 26-18. 26-18 over. So on the looser end, over 344 hands. So jack, jack versus queen, queen in button versus big blind battle. I think that's fairly straightforward, but let me take a look at just one more stat. I'm going to look at how often he folds to versus 3-bet. He ends up, so he's called, it looks like 6 out of 9 times, and 4-bet 2 out of 9 times. So I think by default, I'm okay with the way I played it. I wouldn't mind looking at some math behind that as well. But for the purposes of this, we're just gonna, kind of go through them, put down some. So I would say straightforward, shove versus button 4-bet. I understand he's going to be calling there quite a bit, but I still think it's okay. But I think if I looked at some math, I might be I might change my view on that. All right, pocket queens. Let's look at that again. So pocket queens, I end up raising, and I end up getting 3-bet. So I definitely like the call here. Pretty straightforward check call on the flop and check call on the turn, and on the river he shoves. I mean, he's going to be shoving that river 100% of the time. I think he's going to be checking the flop back sometimes, so he might. I don't love it. As I'm looking at it now, versus a fairly aggressive player, I think that's a fairly straightforward call on the river. Definitely on the flop, definitely on the turn. He ends up having aces. So as I'm looking at the analysis here, so it's 1, 29, 2013, queen, queen, villain had ace, ace. The villain is fairly aggressive. So 24, 21, 24, 21 with 9% 3-bet over, I think, a pretty good sample size, 681 hands. 681 hands. And the category is queen, queen versus king, king. So I would say cooler. I like the pre-flop call. Turn. I think when I call the turn, I've got to call the river. The turn is the thing that I'm wondering about the most. Like, how often does he... Well, I don't know if I have to call the river. How often does he bluff the turn? So I would say turn is something I want to look at more closely. So this is a spot where I would then maybe, like, this is a hand that I would post to the forums, and I would say, not sure quite what to do on the turn and what my plan for the river is. As you can see, I'm certainly not. I'm not convinced that I have an answer on how to play this turn. So I would ask some of my friends about this hand. So yeah, so that's a good hand that, based on the analysis that I'm doing, I would then take to the forums or ask my friends and get a better, clear idea of. I know pre-flop is good, and I know the flop is good. The turn I'm wondering about, and then obviously the turn has implications for the river. All right, so I'll actually end on this hand, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and good luck at the tables. For cardhunters.com, this has been Vernier.